Professor Mahdev?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, we have heard over the past 2 days from many in the House that when it comes to innovation, that there is no such thing as the status quo. You either improve or you decline, relative to every other country. And sitting in a comfort zone in the corner for too long will prove costly. Most Singaporeans, including myself, would accept and would not argue with this logic. Our country's innovation journey has often been framed as a national fight for survival. Singaporeans know or have been taught that our small, low-lying island state has been confronted by big macroeconomic constraints and problems. But as we enter the next phase, the President has asked us to stand ready to go for bold changes and not merely to tweak things at the margins. As the government unveils new policies over this week and recognizes Singapore's undeniable successes, there are points that ought to be addressed as we go forward, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And allow me to highlight 3 points. First, while Singapore can attract talent and build an ecosystem of entrepreneurs, investors, corporations, research institutes, some might say that we nonetheless lag behind in the culture of risk-taking. Minister Chan Chun Sing said yesterday that international exposure is key for tertiary students. I would agree, but I hope that this quest for learning from other stories of successes and failures, can start at an even earlier stage, pre-tertiary, and then continue with a devoted commitment to lifelong learning. Before founding Alibaba and becoming a multi-billionaire, Mr. Jack Ma failed his college entrance exams twice. He failed to then get into Harvard, which he applied for 10 times. He proceeded to be rejected from dozens of jobs. And I would sheepishly admit, as an academic and an educator, that we are often accustomed to not looking beyond the grades that one is awarded. But how wrong I would have been had Mr. Ma gone for his education within our system, if I had this simplistic bias. Simplistic to think that grades alone would determine someone's professional identity. As a nation, we should strive to ensure that our education systems and our educators allow our entrepreneurs in waiting to thrive and, importantly, to never feel ashamed by any failures they experience. My fellow NMPs and I look forward to working closely with the Ministry of Education as we prepare to propose, hopefully in the coming months, a motion that underscores the importance and future of education, of tertiary and lifelong education, and even preschool education, to explore what different successes entail. And as Minister Ong Ye Kung very articulately expressed, the various dimensions, or the 4 dimensions of inequality, and how we could actually try to overcome any barriers that we would face. That's the first point, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Second, just as Singaporeans must be faced always, or prepared to face, brutal and hard truths, the government, I dare say, should acknowledge inconvenient ones as well. I ask this in specific regard to the attention that I think we should pay to Singaporeans' mental well-being, particularly when the IMH, Institute of Mental Health, has noted that there has been a 20% rise since 2010 in the number of outpatient medical cases that relate to clinical depression, alcohol abuse, and obsessive-compulsive disorders. These afflictions, Mr. Deputy Speaker, do not affect only vulnerable adult persons. Singaporeans should be encouraged to talk about their mental health. They should be given the resources, skills, and language that they need in order to take action to overcome mental health issues. The labor movement, which we've heard from through several speakers earlier, should be mindful that as we ask the workforce to ensure that professional standards and targets never slip, that people are nonetheless given the time to take better care of themselves, take some time off, and take care of their mental and physical well-being. If I may just use a metaphor that Mr. Ng Chee Meng used earlier, it's not just to play, train, to plug, train, and play. I would say it would be plug, train, play, recharge, maintain, and then play. Finally, Madam President emphasized the importance of family, Mr. Deputy Speaker. She said, movingly, that the government should provide more support to young families and make Singapore a great place to have children, help families cope with the cost of living, and enable persons with disabilities to lead a full and active life. I note the emphasis on family, on fairness, and on equality. I hope that we will revisit what is important for the average Singaporean family, to reassure them that Singapore is not only a hub for innovation, but first and always a home, a safe space where their diverse voices are heard, a place where different views can be debated and could inform future policy and perhaps even allow us to reevaluate certain policy OB markers that are unrelated to national defense and security. The next generation of Singaporeans, if my students are anything to go by, Mr. Deputy Speaker, want to be included and involved at every stage. The message that we give them matters, and their trust is hard-won at every stage. They accept all aspects of our national pledge, but beyond prosperity and progress, this group of perhaps fifth-generation Singaporeans place a high premium on the pursuit of happiness, Mr. Deputy Speaker. With that, I support the motion.